All right, Matt. To train somebody really well, you've got to be able to show them how to do the thing that you want them to do, whether it's digital or shoulder to shoulder, right? You've got to be able to show somebody. One of the hardest things I feel like to teach is how to go fast, how to go quick. One, because you're going fast. So it's like you can teach in slow motion, but like it's quick. It's hard to show it. How do you show it? We've tried this 1,000 ways before, but how do you teach somebody how to go fast?
Yeah. I mean, so most of the brands that we work with would consider themselves quick service restaurants.
By name, yes, or fast food. Yeah.
Right. Quick service, fast food. It's like everybody's obsessed with speed, right? I mean, as many people know, you and I were at Chipotle for many years. Chipotle was obsessed with speed, obsessed with throughput, making the line go fast, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel like working there, and then also with different brands that we worked with on doing speed of service, we've tried everything to try to show how to go fast, how to make a line go fast, and it's hard to show because, like you said, like it's too fast with the line. Like we've done stuff like set up cameras and just record like a peak hour, and then try to like do like a football commentator of like, oh, well, here's what happened here and here's what happened there. We tried to recreate it like in slow motion, but it just always, not even slow motion, but recreate it like in half speed. But it just always just feels forced and weird. But it's like, how do you actually introduce it to a learner, to introduce this concept of how to make a line go fast? And like I said, we've tried it so many ways, but my favorite that I feel like we really unlocked was with this most recent version that we have, where we taught good flow on a line, right? We taught speed of service, but what we did is we turned it into sort of like a video game animation of like dots going through an assembly style line. And so we're specifically sort of an assembly style where you go through and choose your ingredients or something is made in front of you, like at a sandwich place, think Subway or any assembly line, right? So you see dots going through, and you see the people behind the line that are, in order to explain these concepts, and you can visualize a clog in the line. You can visualize the line going fast. You can visualize the different positions on the line and how they can even kind of work together in sort of this like visually engaging video game format. Like this cool animation. And I liked using that a lot because I felt like for the first time, it was sort of this just like, oh, I can look at that and I instantly get it, because it's this concept that's hard to introduce visually by just showing something real. So you almost have to, I can't think of the right word for it, but I guess animate it is the best word, but you have to show it in sort of this theoretical, that's what I'm looking for. You have to show it in this almost theoretical way for people to really kind of understand and grasp the concepts. I think personally, out of all the ways that we've taught it, that has been the most effective method of introducing the concepts that we teach to make the line go fast.
I think you're right, because it solved two problems. I feel like every time you teach how to go fast, first of all, every operator, if you ask them how to go fast, will rattle off 39 things that you need to do to be able to go fast. There's no shortage of tips and tricks for how to go fast. But I feel like that's the problem, is that there's all these subtle nuances that we're trying to get people to memorize. And for a new person who's trying to learn how to go fast, there's really only two things. And this animated visual describes the two things that need to happen. The guest needs to move without stopping through the line. If they keep moving through the line, and if this dot keeps moving across the screen, then we're obviously going fast. If they stop, that's a problem. To keep the guest moving, their food needs to move with them. So those two things need to happen at the same time to keep the line moving. And that's a really hard thing to get across to a new person. But by visually showing two things at once happening, food moves, guest moves, neither stop,
right?
The line moves. That's really all we're trying to get across. And we spent 10 years trying to show every subtle nuance that a crew member needs to do to pass the food quickly, or show the guests not moving and what happens there. But this brought both worlds together in the simplest way to show that that's all it is these two things shouldn't stop. And if they stop, there's a problem.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, obviously, I mean, maybe we should have said this at the top, but anybody who teaches this and listening knows really the only way to learn how to go fast on the line is to get on the line, right? I mean, it's like the best way to swim is to jump in the pool. And swim with somebody, have somebody who knows how to swim well right there with you, correcting your strokes or whatever it might be. But so ultimately, shoulder to shoulder training is the way to learn how to go fast and getting reps in doing it. But having that something at the top where it introduces the concept so that you understand what you're actually trying to achieve and understand some of those basic fundamental concepts that make the line go fast, accelerates that process. It maximizes that shoulder to shoulder training. And it also gives the trainer language, which I think is invaluable.
I think you're exactly right. Cause like you can imagine, we can all go back to being on the line in a rush. Even the first time we have no idea what to do. And you can remember that feeling of foods coming a mile a minute, guests are saying things to you. There's all like, it's a flurry of activity. And so it's overwhelming. And the whole point of showing this in advance is for them to be able to refer back to something in that overwhelming moment, because they're not going to remember all the tips and tricks when all that's going on. It's impossible. It's information overload. But if all they remember is, I just got to keep the bowl moving, keep the plate moving, keep it going, the guest shouldn't stop. If that's all they remember, you've set the stage for success. And then you can coach and tweak all the details over the next few shifts. But like you got to get them in the right frame of mind to be able to get through the shift and stay centered on what the goal is so that you have the opportunity to focus on the subtleties. And I feel like in something like going fast, where there are so many opinions and so many tips, you almost run into the problem of information overload when teaching. You're trying to teach all of the standards all the time, and you see them do something wrong, and you're like, oh, tuck your elbow in and do this. And they're like, dude, I'm just trying to move this thing down. Like, I'm not worried about the subtlety of my elbow positioning on the line right now.
Yeah.
The trap you run into where this front-loading digital training, getting it up front, at least sets the psychology of no matter what happens when you get out there, this is what success looks like. And then we'll take it one step deeper from here and one step deeper from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it also, like, I love that ideally somebody, before they even step on the line, like if someone takes kind of like the digital training that really breaks it down and people understand that some of those essential roles that are necessary for the line to go fast, essential positions that make the line go fast, ideally someone could step on the line and already kind of get it, have the right language in place, before they even do it. I think there's something powerful to that, to kind of have a concept of it before they even step into position.
There is, because when you're going quick and you've got all that going on, rather than shouting out 1,000 different things, if everybody's just repeating the same 5 statements over and over again, it kind of recenters you and like, oh, we got to focus on that. We use one like yo-yo back to the start. Like when you finish, quickly get back to where you came from. And you can say that 25 different ways. That can be really overwhelming on the line. If it's like, hey, go back to the beginning, or hey, quickly turn around. You hear that 5 or 6 different times and it all feels like 25 different problems to solve. But if everybody's just saying yo-yo back to the beginning, yo-yo, that repetition is just, it starts to stick a little bit more when you have shared language. So it also takes what can feel overwhelming and boils it down into like 4 or 5 problems that we really need to focus on, that allows everybody to focus and quickly get to the point of what the problem is.
I will say one more thing about our animation that I liked, that, maybe this isn't about the line going fast, but, I also think it was fun. I think it was a little bit of edutainment going on, which is one of our things that I do notice, because sometimes we've been in rooms when people have watched it. People, it always gets a laugh. And there's like one guy with like his head is on fire and he's like going around, and it always gets a laugh because people can relate to that feeling.
Everybody's been that guy, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because it was specifically in the context of like, if nobody's covering restock, we have these flow killers, right? Things that will kill the line, kill the flow of the line. And, one of them is making sure somebody's responsible for restocking, right? And if we don't know who's responsible for that, it will kill the line. And so the animation was a guy with his head on fire, and it always gets a little bit of a laugh. And But I think it gets a laugh because it's memorable, but it's relatable. But the point is that I think also it sticks with people, kind of just remembering some of those key points that they need to remember. And I think it sticks with people, which is cool and fun. It's fun.
It is fun. And the last one I'll mention on it is like, it also takes it out of context. I think so often we try to show literally what to do over and over again. And there's a power in almost removing context entirely, like taking them out of the situation. So familiar, looks like a restaurant, looks like a line, but it gets them just to focus on what you want them to focus on, versus if you show it in a restaurant and you show it with all the details, people are focused on, are they wearing gloves? Are they doing all this stuff the right way? And like, you're focused on all these other things that have nothing to do with going fast because you're in a restaurant. This removes all of that and just says, we just want this dot to go across the screen. And it's like, cool, I get it. I just want the dot to go across the screen. And it almost removes all the other distractions that you don't even think about and allows you just to focus on the one problem at hand.
Yeah, I love it.
Love it too. Well, there you go. Different ways to teach really complex topics.
Yeah, that's awesome. Till next time.
Until next time.